In this video, we're going to look at the top 5 most common questions that are asked in Walgreens interviews, and I'm going to help you plan fantastic answers that will land you a job working with Walgreens. So let's start with the question that Walgreens always ask, which is simply, what hours are you able to work? And people typically do very, very badly on this question. They immediately go in with all the times that they can't work, and it puts the interviewer off hiring you. So to be successful in this question, what you need to do is show that you're super flexible. List lots of different times that you are able to work. Show that you are totally dedicated by saying yes to as many times as you possibly can and not volunteering the times that you can't work. And also show that you're a highly reliable person and that you're able to work at short notice. So let's look at the things that specifically Walgreens really love to hear. They love to hear that people can work evenings and late openings. They love to hear that you can work Saturdays. And if you can work school holidays, definitely make a point of mentioning that. If you can't, just don't bring it up. If you're lucky, most of the times that you can't actually work won't be asked about. And once you've listed all of these great times that you can work, they're probably going to move on to the next question. So never volunteer anything that you can't do on these and say all the times that you can do. Focus on what you can do and you will be successful on this question. So let's move on to the next question, which is, what can you tell me about Walgreens? And this is a common interview question, and you should always plan for it, even if they don't specifically ask this question. I've heard it asked in the past, but by preparing for this question, you can volunteer some of this information at various points in the interview, and it shows that you're someone who's done their planning, done their preparation, and therefore is likely to be a better employee. So to be successful and showing your knowledge of Walgreens business, you have to look at that diagram that I've got on the slide. So a bad answer is something that everyone knows. A better answer has got some things that only some people know, and really great answers have some details that so few people actually know that perhaps the person interviewing you isn't even aware of it. So some great things to know about Walgreens is that it's in all 50 states. It was founded in Chicago in 1901. You've got Charles Rudolph Walgreen was the founder and where the name comes from. It's the second largest in the USA currently after CVS. It's merged with Boots Alliance, which is a big British company. And you can also talk about some of the extra services that are offered in the store, and you want to research the specific location. So, for example, vaccinations can be offered at the pharmacy, which is a great benefit to the healthcare system. So research your specific location, know exactly what they offer, and be aware of some key facts around Walgreens. And my top tip is to read the company's annual report. And so if you just type in Walgreens Boots Alliance Form 10K, you will get more information than you could possibly imagine. And if you've had some time reading that, you will be so knowledgeable about Walgreens that they will be massively impressed with you. So let's move on to a really typical question in retail of any description. So that is, how would you handle an abusive and angry customer? So if you're working in Walgreens, it is likely that you will encounter a member of the public that is less than pleasant. And so you need to know how to deal with that. And so some things that you should always be talking about in your answer is go straight to saying that you're going to be professional and you're going to be polite. You're going to represent Walgreens in a positive way. However, while you're doing this, you're going to be adhering to the company's policies. So whatever policies the company has set down around refunds, for example, you're going to follow those policies to the letter. Just because someone's angry and upset doesn't mean that a different returns policy applies to them. But while you're sticking to the company's policies, you're going to be acting with empathy. You're going to be de-escalating the situation. So you see that word de-escalate. If you use that word in the answer to this question, you immediately score much higher. De-escalation means calming the situation down, getting it under control. And that is going to be facilitated by you being calm and professional, and that you're acting with empathy and listening. Often customers that are angry and abusive, they really just want someone to listen to them and take their complaints seriously. So if you do that, you're going to be successful in this question. And obviously remember, never raise your voice. And when the interviewer asks you about it, make sure you get in there that you don't raise your voice and you don't argue back. So they know that you know that that is the wrong thing to be doing. Let's move on to question 4. Why would you like to work at Walgreens? And there can be loads of different reasons for it. So I've given you a couple of suggestions. The first One there talks about the career opportunities. So think about what job you're applying to and where you might be in 5 years' time, and how Walgreens set you up for a really great long-term career. You could be an area manager, you could be a senior manager in the whole national chain. There's a fabulous career potential there. You can talk about your skills and interests. So talk about the previous jobs that you've had, talk about what you've learned at school or college, and how that matches up with working at Walgreens. Definitely get in there that you love working in retail and that working with customers is something that you really like. So you want to get the idea that the job at Walgreens and what you like doing is much the same thing, because they would rather employ people that are going to be happy doing the job than people that are just doing it for a paycheck. Definitely talk about the healthcare industry and how you're, say, for example, a caring person and that you are really happy and interested in being involved in healthcare. And definitely make sure that you link it to some sort of research. So find a fact about the company and link that to your interest. And another great thing to do is to look at the training. So just look up Walgreens employee training, read through it, and pick out some examples that make it a great opportunity for you and why you would like to engage in that training. And if you pick a couple of these, maybe take 3 of these examples, you will do really well on this question. And so let's look at the last question before we touch on some questions that you might want to ask. So you want to make sure that when you're answering the question about where do you see yourself in 5 years' time, that your answer is reasonable, that you have some sensitivity to the person interviewing you. So the classic mistake is saying that you're going to be doing the interviewer's job in 5 years' time, and it might take them 10 years to get to that job. So you want to be sensitive to the person that's interviewing you, and you want to be focusing on your development and what Walgreens is going to offer you. The bad answers, by contrast, immediately go to quitting Walgreens. If you say anything about leaving the company, you're probably not going to get the job. If you're saying things that are unrealistic, like being an area manager in 5 years from starting out, that's not likely. And if Walgreens isn't in your 5 year plan, if your 5 year plan is somewhere else or doing something different, that's going to count massively against you. So don't even mention it. So think about things like being one step above your current work, or being really exceptional in your current role, and perhaps mentoring others is a great route to take. And so finally, here's a bonus on some questions that you can ask. So you can ask about the next steps in the hiring process. Definitely ask about the training, because that makes you sound like someone that is interested in developing and being better at their job. A really great question to ask at the end of an interview is, how would you describe a highly effective Walgreens employee? And by asking this, the manager is going to list all the things they're looking for. And it's a great opportunity for you to remind them at the end of the interview how you meet their definition of a good employee. And lastly, make sure you ask one question that relates to something that's come up in an interview. So while you're going through the interview, think of a question that you're wondering about when they are speaking to you, and then ask that at the end. So it shows you've been listening. So hopefully this video has been very helpful to you. I wish you the best of luck in your Walgreens interview, and thank you very much for watching.